So I just wanted to share my thoughts among the many who have shared their thoughts on the KTM situation. I own a KTM, which isn't a qualification for anything, but I've been thinking about it a little bit. I'm coming up to about a year and a half of ownership now. I've got a 3-year PCP, and already starting to think about what I'll do. Should I hand the bike back? Should I trade it in for another KTM, or should I kind of just walk away? As your basic PCP options, and with the situation around the PR Mobility Group, which, if you don't know, has gone into self-administration, which is not the same thing as bankruptcy. Is kind of an in-between of reassessing creditors. Their stock price has fallen as a result of that and so on, and they're just in general financial turmoil. So yeah, for me as an individual, what does that mean? Well, one, my KTM 790 Adventure, which is year and a half old, the 2023 version, is now lost a significant amount of value. So you can buy them new at, I've seen them listed for maybe 8,000 right now. Their retail price is about 10 and a half, depending on options. I bought mine straight off the floor, if you like, as soon as they arrived, because I was quite keen to have one, for 10 and a half at the time, which was actually a little bit of reduction. I think it would have been 10.8, and I got a little bit reduced from the dealer. So yeah, at the time, good price. But as you can buy them by new for 8, my start line for depreciation is higher than it was, if you like. So chances are, if somehow I wasn't in PCB right now, I would have lost a significant amount of value, and I would have lost my deposit, for example, that I would have put in originally, which I did have from having a KTM 390 Adventure before, but kind of traded at the right time, if you like. So yeah, what do I do? And I think probably most the easiest option is to keep the bike, pay it off. The interest rate's quite good. That's one of the draws originally of KTM as a whole. Their interest rates are low in comparison. I think when I was looking at maybe the Honda Transalp, and things like that, the finance deals on them were more like 12 and a half, 13%, something like that. So actually, if you looked at the total, I had actually a random video on this before, which is not very interesting, but that means that the total value of those bikes was pushing more into 13, 14 maybe, as a total cost. Whereas with this KTM, you're still on the low end of 11 and a half, maybe something like that by times all's told. So you're not losing from your finance overly. 0% is obviously better, but you don't get too many of those anymore. Although I have seen some come up with 0% recently, which is really good, obviously from a finance perspective. And in hindsight, if it was to start the process again, KTM aside, I probably would have bought maybe used somehow, maybe even a low amount. It's crazy. I mean, I think the value has generally dropped off for this and other reasons, but it's crazy what you can get for, I suppose, 5 grand on the open market will buy you a lot of bike now. Things that are not particularly old, not particularly high mileage. It's a difficult market, but as a buyer, that's I think a good thing. Yeah, but I think at the time maybe there wasn't all these bikes that are great weren't there then. One thing, you've got this absolute. I was buying in the balloon of the middleweight, if you like, and there was just so many good options suddenly available, and I chose one of those. Do I regret buying the KTM itself? You've maybe watched some of my videos, and I think it's probably pretty obvious that I don't regret it. It is um, not a unicorn. It's a big bike, so I suppose most people would class unicorn as being lighter and more maneuverable as one category, which this doesn't fit. But it is very capable off road. It's very capable on road, as in both cases, like very, very. Like it's really good off road, and the better rider I've become, the better it is as well. So it's kind of got this exponential thing of it. It can be like this crazy large dirt bike thing, if you're good enough for it. Um, and on road, it's 95 brake horsepower. Like it's a beast. Obviously there's bikes faster than that, but those are not particularly relevant for the UK roads, I would say. So it doesn't lack in any one area. It's been reliable for me. I have had a couple of things, small things fixed without fuss with my dealer. I had the ignition switch was a little bit fiddly. It wasn't broken, but it was a little bit fiddly and not quite engaging. So I got that fixed. I had one other issue, which was what was that? I can't remember even what that was. Might remember later. But I had one other issue as well. Again, fixed on I wanted to be relatively small and fixed. I just want to obviously get those things fixed early. Didn't have to fix them. So yeah, overall, my owning experience has been good. But again, I'm left with this dilemma of like, eventually, where do I go from here? And I think coming back to the broader point of my thoughts on the KTM situation is a lot of KTM potential buyers, current owners, are in that same situation. So what KTM will face is a real quandary for people who know anything about the brand or have been in this situation times in past. You hear a lot of KTM buyers from the old days, if you like, from things like the 990s and stuff. Never again. I mean, they do buy again because there's nothing quite like them, I think. But that's what the general word on the street is for them. Is that you're caught in this catch where it seems like a bad idea, and it probably is, to buy at retail, and therefore, straight off the floor, if you like, they're forced to reduce their offering, by quite a degree, blowing their margins, for all involved as part of that initial decrease. And where does that end? Where does that buyer confidence come back? I'm not trying to add fuel to the fire, because I'm not saying they're unreliable or any of those things. I think that it's an oversimplistic statement, and I think that we as consumers, I think I've said it before, but we as consumers, like, shouldn't have been as hard on KTM. I personally feel, I think I've said this maybe in an odd comment here and there, as we do, but we shouldn't have maybe been as hard on KTM, because I don't know what we've gained from it. I lose out as a consumer. Everybody else does too. They're producing these great bikes that we want to have available to us, and they do seem to be continuously improving. Those are all the fundamentals that matter. Engineering's hard. Mistakes happen. The commercial aspects of certain agreements are messy sometimes, and so on. Such is life. I think that the false comparable between a Suzuki. I mean, I don't want to call out another brand, but obviously a Suzuki, bulletproof, if you like, reliable, all those things they say. Obviously, people do have issues with them. All bikes do. But these Suzukis, they're on the road for their whole lives. They're low key commuters. That's their style. That's what they suit. They can't do more than that. KTM's, we beat them to hell. I don't want to say I beat my bike to hell, but like, I give it a pretty lively life. And so far, it's held up to that. That's a big expectation for these bikes that they have, and KTM, are fairly brave about serving that specific niche and that specific market, I think. So yeah, maybe a little bit of a simp or a sympathetic to their old plight, but I think that's fair. I think that it's been really difficult for them, and I am taking their side a little bit. Regardless of, obviously, a lot of people have been in difficult situations where they haven't been able to resolve their situation with a dealer, or as the dealer's passed on to KTM, has been rejected for one reason or another, and all the rest. That's always difficult. People are losing maybe significant sums in those situations as well, so it's not to disparage that, but again, to some extent, that's the game. But yeah, it's currently hard to see, when KTM become healthy. But the good news is, as a consumer, that there's going to be deals to be had. If anything, they're going to be forced to bring better value to the market within their bikes. I can continue to see them to have a relatively diverse lineup, but also maybe a little bit more focused. And I think that, providing, again, the good side of it, them surviving, then continuing to find maybe more of a niche and being successful abroad, which is part of their overall portfolio, whatever. Yeah, as a buyer, even I would be coming back to the brand after this phase, after this kind of bump comes, and seriously considering them as a potential future purchase. So I suppose that is the recovery line for them. They do have a loyal fan base, and people who appreciate what they do, and ultimately they can they're going to find ways to prosper within that, hopefully, I think. But yeah, anyway, that's my thoughts. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.